So Delphine, thank you very much for being our guest here. Guys, if you don't know Delphine, make sure to follow her on Instagram, Delphine Diallo in one word. I was introduced to Delphine like 3 years ago, Delphine, through our common friend Sultan from Dubai. This is ever like I've been following you. I love your work. And I think the best way to describe you is through your words. When you say, I believe that all humans, regardless of racial and geographic differences, share the same collective pool of instincts and images. Through these manifest differently due to the molding influence of culture, the time has come to go beyond the individual mind and relate our common universal connections to each other. We must collaborate, support, inspire, teach, and learn together. You are a Brooklyn-based French and Senegalese visual artist and photographer, and you use photography as a tool for healing and connection. You immerse yourself in the realm of anthropology, mythology, religion, science, and martial arts to release your mind. I'm so glad to have you, and we will be today focusing on art and healing, and of course, Black Lives Matter.
Thank you so much to allow me to tell my story and the story of many of people around the world, especially women, that I felt like the work can speak and also relate to, everybody who wants to actually know more about the issue of, for me, of vision and the importance of representation, especially, Sultan and you guys doing an amazing work with Middle East art. And, my position as a Black, let's say, artist is complex because I am not Afro-American, I am Afro-European. And the place that allow us to tell a story as really common, like Afro-European, French, Senegalese, is very limited. So I decided to be in New York to be able to have a space to express myself and to work towards different access to people helping me to produce this this journey of discovery as a human being, but also as a redefining my identity through my unconditioning. And as a French, as a Senegalese, and now as a New Yorker, I have a better understanding of what's happening and what the work is about. So that's why today I'm very happy to be there and explain the different, tools that I'm using in my work. It's not linear at all. It's very, non-linear, but there is a lot of tools that people can relate to outside of just seeing a Black woman body only. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Delphine. And what inspired me, or what touched me really through your work, is the way you use photography and visual art as a universal language to express your ideas, to express the way you see the world, and the way you express your suffering and your pain, inner pain, as Delphine, but also as a community, the ancestors, your own community, which is also our ancestors. So if you can just tell us, we will try to go through different photos of that we've selected through your work, but your work is so diverse. So can you tell us more about what we are seeing here?
So, through those years of work, and especially I'm very focusing on portraiture because I think it's a tool for transformation, because I can express my understanding of the soul of a human being, and in this portrait specifically, my intention is to really be able to connect with the subject, my friend Oya, that's her name, and to explain to her what I'm intending to do. So it means I really care about my subject. I'm not just doing a project where I'm taking a model and I never heard about her. Usually all the people that I have in my work, they have an amazing story to tell themselves. And then I am actually using this portal for the story to connect it to her and to see if she's interested to be a part of this iconic vision. So what I'm creating in my work, and it was very intense from the beginning, I need it, and it's like an obsession. I want to create iconic vision for women of color, and it's including every woman of color, not just Black women. But you know, in New York, there's a lot of Black women. I also photograph Indian women, you know, Asian women who are actually, you know, like dark Asian women. A lot of women come to me for asking me to make them as an iconic vision. So for this particular picture, I really dream about a form of a braid who can relate to everyone. And the DNA origin and the DNA form is something that we can really explore in the work of vision. And the work that I'm doing with braids for a long time, for like 7 or 8 years, with craft artists from IT and different places, all women actually. This one is from, I think she's from she's born in she's born in New York, but she's from Congo. So this artist, the braider. So even in my work, I incorporate the work of craftsmanship in, like, as women, to give this knowledge very ancient of the sacred body. And the sacredness in my work is definitely an obsession, because I grew up without seeing it into the Black woman body specifically, and which I am actually. So I have the experience of it. So I think I'm the great tools to change that narrow vision of objectification that relates on Black women for sure, but women worldwide especially. And it's a great topic to explore, because in terms of photography world, we didn't really talk enough about what it is, the subject, and why the white male gaze photography world is focusing on the beauty of a woman, but is still an objectification, right? So I hope it makes sense for people, and I'm explaining the you know, research on me to really create iconic vision.
Absolutely, thank you very much. On the second photo that I find personally very, very touching, and it's also about healing somehow in the art, where you explain to the public the unity, what unifies us, the DNA in the picture that we saw before, and now it's really the interlink between humans, whatever their skin's color is. It's just like there's a kind of like unity between man and woman, between different like colors, black, white. Tell us more about this, and how did you come with this idea?
Yeah, as you said before, when you introduced the work, it's not something that is new. And what I'm doing in my work, I really come to a place where I really think it's time to talk differently about race and relationship with race. So, like, even if my work, it looks very simple and it's flat, there's a structure to it, it's very based on symbolism and things that people can relate very quick to understand. This picture needed to be produced because that's the vision of my mom and my dad, for example. And that's how I grew up. They're still together after 45 years. And I really respect my mom to be able to support a Black man in France. So she supported him, and he was agree to unite with her through all these years. And they have amazing story to tell, but they don't feel they have space to tell the story because nobody care about them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and it's actually a very strong narrative that we need to put on the table today. It's like, well, we need to hear a story about interracial family and how a white mother has to deal with a Black girl, etc., etc. So for this one, it's really for me to open the conversation outside of saying, oh, he's Black and she's white. So what about unity? What do you think? I think nobody really understands the relationship, the interracial relationship at all. So it's an open door now for people to understand. It's like, do you really know about interracial relationship, or you never actually ask your friend who are mixed their experiences, which I face many times. Never anyone will ask me about my interracial parents.
It's very interesting, because when I read the caption that you put under this photo, and I mentioned it here, but I would love to read it if you allow me. You said whites, and this was before Trump. I just want to mention that you did this photo in 2012, and this was before the elections, before what happened. And I'm always super impressed by artists' abilities, and this is why I love to surround myself with a lot of artists, is your ability to see things before anybody else. And you've been writing white supremacists hate white people and enslaved Black people for centuries. They are the enemy. Don't look for a leader. You are the leader of your life, and you can change history if you decide to work towards your liberation and the freedom of humanity. And I think like those words are like super powerful, Delphine. Tell me, if you can, about your role as a leadership, as an artist, like artist leader, and through what you do sometimes, even without putting words on your photography, you somehow lead you show us the way to go forward.
I mean, all my work, it's going forward, right? So
right.
You see through the years, like that's why you ask the time, like the date of my work is an evolution work. It's a researching of the unity system, the unified field of consciousness, into what I'm pursuing, into the liberation of our limitation of reality. That's what they're trying to do. They're still trying to, in every aspect, to make sure a frequency, a brain is only 10%, and it's going to be 10% for the rest of our life. It's not being actually put on the table in the government to explain why it's staying at this level of frequency while the technology is evolving. So there's a lot of hiding truth in what they're doing to us, and we need to question everything. But I have the gift to visualize my study. So, when you read the white super, like what I'm writing this, it's coming from channeling my study and to understand the core of, the eight is number one, how we can change a relationship with eight and the idea of eight and the way that actually society put it eight in front of us and fear in front of us. White supremacists are not white people. It's like the media will not help you to make the difference. For me, their lack of accountability at every level, even if they believe they're talking about facts. So this is something that us as a being, we need to put on the table when it comes to the media and the way they are creating a narrative who actually didn't evolve into their consciousness level, and we do actually evolving. So there is a huge gap between our reality of people who awake and trying to understand what's happening, and the media putting you in this level of fear and lie. So what I'm intending to do here, it's like, I don't believe in leadership like before. I don't believe we should have one Martin Luther King. I don't believe we should have one or two people who leading because they get killed. What I believe, it's like the internet was created for people to starting to get awake and create a million awakening of leader, which is possible, not just through artists. Artists, we have one of the key, right? But we have the tools to just change the narrative and give people another view, and it's not a surrealist view. Right. So they make us we are crazy, we are surrealists, we outsiders of society, we don't understand society, and it's time for people to put the artist in different place that waiting for him to die and to make his work available for buying, instead of promoting the shift of the narrative into society and how it is important for the generation who's coming and even us to talk about different stories, the when and the, you know, like it's very important that actually our dreams, our imagination and narrative of a reality with race and the coronavirus and health and you know, meditation and all that, we saw the change in the last 10, 15 years. We experienced the change and society like doesn't show the change. So now we it's an amazing time actually, you know.
Absolutely, and I love the way where you the way you express your art and say, okay, this is a study path, and here I want to go into the next photography, which is like a kind of like a collage of your own work. You've done this recently, and can you tell us more about the path and all the art that you put here inside this this one collage in terms of like healing from all what you and your community have been going through for the last, I don't know how many years?
So first of all, I believe art supposed to heal. And for example, the process that I'm doing here, it's to heal myself through the discovery of my own, this, you know, through my, you know, I'm discovering while I'm collaging my own discovery. So I am experiencing kind of a mandala experience where I put everything on the table for like all the pictures and I photographed for 10 years and I put them together. And when I put them together, I can read the message. And the message is towards awakening or understanding the meaning of life and a connection with nature, right? So if my intention is to heal and someone's going to be able to buy the work and put in a house, the intention of healing will go through the vision of the work and spread into someone that I don't know. And I think this is something that the art world doesn't really talk about. And there is I don't say artist has to be dark, doesn't have to be dark, and you have to, but I'm saying there is a lot of gift to be able to heal people through vision. And I do that a lot in my work when I'm photographing women. They come to me because they want to be healed by my vision. They ask me to photograph them as an iconic vision of themselves. So when I'm doing this, I am showing them their light, and usually they're taking it. So in this process, you can see myself, you can see other women I photographed through the years, you can see my travel to Native American land, in the reservation in Montana, in Thailand, in Bamako, in Ethiopia, the trees from Ethiopia. I'm really doing the work of, it's called the vision quest. So the vision quest is the seeker, the person who's researching knowledge, is not only studying knowledge on a book, is going through different locations around the world and experiencing different culture, different beliefs, and suddenly something happened where all those beliefs and all those culture are actually very similar for me. You know, that's why I can't relate only to do the work only in Senegal, which I'm gonna do in the next year. But I did work with Native American because I was very upset that nobody's talking about them ever. So I fly to Montana and I stay 2 weeks with them in a reservation doing a Crow tribe celebration. And I was the only Black woman here. And I saw like a Black woman, they actually even more disrespecting that the Black women, because they actually invisible and they lost their vision completely. And the only thing that people's buying from them, it's the old picture from the past. So there is an intention in my work to also change the way that people's talking about photography.
Absolutely. Healing from microaggression and the society aggression, but also healing inside you. to deal with your ancestors, with your family, and the way they see you, the color of your skin. I love when we had to prepare for this majlis, all what you said about this photography, and I believe it's a collaboration between you and your mother, and she's the one who actually took a photo of you. Can you tell us more about this photography and your relationship with your mother? And I think there's something very powerful about that.
So through the history of photography, the photographer, which usually was a male, was photographing a woman, and he was, for me, objectifying her. And you know, in the art world, like there is a lot of interest to work on the nudity, to have a relationship with, like the artists love to looking for the relationship with the nudity and to a different space. And for me, it was a sacred space. And the only person who can actually photograph it was my mom, who was not a photographer, but used to be a painter. She taught me everything about art, painting and anatomy and painters. And she was very talented, but never had the courage to become an artist. And she gave me probably a gift. And I decided to collaborate with her and give her the camera and let her photographing me. And the result was amazing because I did for 3 years in a row when she was coming to New York. And I got now a bunch of, you know, archive of nudity that I can use in my work for expressing something very specific. And this one, for example, I had to wait a year for having a vision for this one. Like a lot of pictures will come through the years with me, like using the vision of my mom to tell something who's inside of me. And I think it's very honest. So the honesty is not doing a self-portrait only, but what is your relationship with the lens, with the, it's very shamanic or spiritual. It's like, she's the mother and I'm creating something from the mother. From the womb, you see another womb, a woman laid like in a, and then the ancestors at the spinal are coming out. It's like a Kundalini yoga where at the spinal core, when you awakening energy, you actually awakening the knowledge of the ancestors and the energy of the universal, you know, law of infinite energy. You know, that's what happened to me through my journey of my art. I really expand my energy as well. So this work is about acknowledging because of them, you know, and give thanks for that, you know, my mom and my ancestors. You know.
It's amazing, but I want to be more slightly provocative and pardon me.
I'm ready. I like provocation.
So in the photography world, it's like, is it correct to say that it's dominated by white, straight male? Mm-hmm. And the way they look at women in general, but also Black women specifically, as more like, you know, they want to show the ethnic side, the dark skin. They look at Black women more into terms of like contrast, because they think art is about contrast. Put a Black object in front of a white screen and then show it. And this is the feeling that I have whenever I go to photography exhibition. How did it feel like having your, sorry to say it, white mother or mother looking at you? Did you feel like there was something different, or she brought something different in terms of photography, as someone who's looking to his daughter and trying to take a photo of her?
I mean, she doesn't see me like, with her, I still have to put her on the planet Earth and tell her, hey, we have problem with Black and white people. My mom, she's a fairy, and she's living in her own world, you know, and that's why she chose a Black man. it's because she was very excited to actually discover someone that has nothing to do with her and her culture.
Right.
Really an artist into her heart. So she knew the issues, and I have to be open to talk to her about it. And when I'm older, I'm starting to really talk about every issue with her, even when I was a kid, when I didn't tell her, because she really wanted to protect me from this bad energy.
Right.
But today, I think it's very important that she knows that, and she relates on, Mom, you know you're a white woman, and you know you have privilege, okay? I just want you to tell me, please. You know? so it's a beautiful relationship that I have with my mom, because we don't judge one of each other ever, you know.
So did these photography sessions with your mother allow you to open up about all the suffering you have to go through as a kid, as a Black kid in a white school in France?
Not just in a white school in Paris, it was very multicultural, so I didn't feel like it. I was more when my mom was sending me to summer camp, and I was on my own as a Black woman, and a Black girl, and then nobody wants to be with me. That was tough, because I was come from a big city, and I was like, why nobody wants to be with me here? And 2 weeks looks like a month and a half for me. So sometimes it's a short moment in life who actually really kind of traumatize you, and not in a long period. It's like, they really hurt me, especially at 12 or 13, when they tell you hair is different. So I put my hair back all the time when I was a kid. I didn't like my hair out at all the entire time, and it's because for them it was too much. So they tell me when they saw me with big hair, it's too much. Or like, you ugly because you have big hair, you know? All those stuff are pain, and then it's the pain that you're not aware of it, you know. I always been a very happy girl, you know. But inside of society, and inside of the structure of a society and a culture, there's a lot of disease of conditioning, and the parents didn't actually educate the kids to actually be aware of racial construct and issue or cursing, you know. It's something that nobody wants to take accountability to talk about this with the kids. It's not have to be the school, it has to be the structure around you, like why they're actually able to do that, you know.
I want you to tell us more about this photography and the story behind this this girl.
So again, in the photography world, you know, Black girls' interpretation as well, it's for me very limited, because I see a lot of wisdom in general in girls, and I choose and decide to follow May and Shui. You can see here May. They're actually twins, and I discovered them on Instagram 7 years ago, and something happened where I contact the mother, and I have to photograph them. And for 7 years now, I'm photographing them growing up. They're indigo kids. They're very, very smart little girl. And I never asked them to pose for me. We are they're together, and suddenly I have an idea, and I'm actually collaborating with them. I give them flower, and I'm like, hey, I got those roses. I'm gonna explain to you the concept, which I explained to her as a little girl. It's like, well, you know, this is dead roses, and you are alive. I want you to look at me with your relationship with the rose. And she does it, and she does so vividly and freely that I think in the photography world, we don't give enough, you know, aspect and credit to this kind of wisdom outside of photographing, you know, kids naked, you know, walking around, like having fun around the water of the lake, like Saliman and stuff like this. So the representation of kids in a photography world is also for me problematic. So I am having my own representation of kids. They are the teachers. So in my work, a lot of kids picture you see, they are teaching me even more than adults, you know.
First of all, Delphine, thank you so much for being here and joining us, and for the work that you do. I had the privilege of attending an exhibition by Tyler Mitchell that was called I Can Make You Feel Good. Yeah. And how you're talking about the healing process of pictures, and how you try and photograph Black people and other people and women of color, and experience for you and to others. I felt during that show, but also looking at your photographs, it's not just healing, but it also shows, I think it was the first time that I realized that Black people have not been photographed in a way that made them human. It's horrible to say, but that's what it is. And I think you and Tyler Mitchell, and I'm sure there's other photographers out there are doing a great job. But my question is, it's not related to that. I'm curious about your story about France, because you left France and you mentioned briefly something about that, but are you able to share a little bit more about why you left France? Has it been an escape for you to go somewhere else?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I left France in 2008 at the Obama election. So it's a very historical time as well. And the decision was very kind of sharp. Sarkozy was president, and the reality of France for me was not actually giving space for any Black women to be there and start to do the work. You know, Europe, when it comes to talking and supporting Black artists, it was none, like in 2008. Like, there's no story there first. I mean, there is story to do, yeah, but there is no story for me. So there were not going to be a place of people hiring me. So when I arrived in New York, I was very, and that's why I love New York, and I will always love New York, and I give credit to New York for that reason. It's like, I'm a stranger, I'm a French Senegalese, I'm coming here, I'm photographing for a year. I've been really good on a blog before Instagram happened. And 2 years after I started, I got the New Yorker, the New York Times, I got publication with Esquire. Like, the beautiful things with New Yorker, they actually doing their work of looking for talent. You know, it was not about me only, it was about all my Black, photographer friends, women as well. We got a job in New York. We all started in New York, and she was from Sweden. I was coming from France, and we're all mixed girl. So, like, historically, multicultural acceptance and opportunities, New York, big time. I don't even think it will happen to me anywhere else in the world, actually. That's how narrow my possibility was if I was in the wrong place.
Hi, Delphine. Thank you so much for a beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
I'm really interested in I'm actually really interested in the idea of healing, especially through anthropology. And I was just wondering your thoughts. You touched on it. Healing as a process. Do you think that there's a destination, or do you think it's, or a state of being healed, or is it just a constant state of, or journey of healing and awakening?
So, like, my entire work, like 11 years of healing, right? And through my journey, hopefully later on in life, like when I'm going to do a book, people's going to scroll the page and realize the change and transformation that it happened within the work, but also within me. And the art is life, and life is art. It's really something that it's really connected to the nature of the self. So when we talk about psychology, people doesn't talk about the sacred psychology. And sacred psychology is based on, knowing the mythos behind everything, and knowing that you have a construct, and you have to help yourself to unconstruct what's been given to you when you're born. So the vision, which is photography, never being almost used this way. That's why for me, vision, like photography is a baby still. It's because photography is being brought to this reality, less than the surrealist movement, art world, but the photography world itself, it was like white male gaze, 95%. So imagine the work who needs to be created in the 21st century. It's like overwhelming, I was able to visualize and project this in 2008. I was like, wow. And I remember when I came in New York, I'm like, I got so much work to do, because I knew photography needed a new type of photography who was more aware of perception, and our perception works on us and how it can heal us instead of like giving us pain. I'll give you a great example. 4 days ago, there is a New York Times cover, and I was shocked. The cover was, the article was about a woman in the hospital, and they will say, hey, she's been separated from the kids because she has the COVID-19. They photograph her by on the top. The woman was giving birth, and then the picture was like the kids, the baby was just born was on the other side of the picture, giving to people with the mask. And I'm seeing that picture as an evil picture, which through psychology and research of vision, that the people who selected, I wonder if they knew that they're actually cursing the baby and the mother when they're doing this. You know, I was like this. I was like, who is the photo editor? Who does that? So my issue with the vision and photography world itself is like all the photo editor and all the people who are actually selecting photography and pretend to know about photography, they have no understanding of the psychological disorder that they're creating into the media. So it's mind-blowing because I'm able to see it because I studied it for 11 years. There is no school for that. You have to take sacred psychology. You have to learn all about religion. You have to learn about all the mythology. Joseph Campbell helped me a lot. Krishnamurti, when he's, you know, an outsider, is very neutral and talk about people conditioning as well. But also the shaman. And the shaman are the one who had visions and refused the Western people, especially white photographer, to take photographs of them. So if those people ancient will know by nature that the photographer is taking a soul, what they've been doing for 100 years, I mean, for 50 years of photography, they are taking souls. They don't care about the person after. So what I create in my work, I want to give to the light. So every single person, like protagonist in my work, I've been giving this vision of healing because that's my intention, you know. And this is another type of photography school, you know. For me, it doesn't exist, you know.
That's incredibly beautiful, and also it takes me back to when we spoke about that piece about that your mother took of you, the collaboration, and how you mentioned that, you know, no one could not objectify you other than your mother, and I thought that was really beautiful.
Thank you for having this talk. Your work uses a lot of imagery from the past, which I understand is very necessary to reclaim a history that was lost to colonialism. However, do you feel that Indigenous artists often overrepresent the past in their work in a way that sort of exoticizes the experiences of Indigenous people? And if you do, then how do you sort of balance reclaiming the past while also embracing your present, especially as a woman of color who's a constant target of this exoticization?
Yeah, that was my biggest, you know, work that I had to work on because I was very aware of it, and I've always been aware of it. And a lot of, for example, like a lot of, you know, Black art right now are completely, for me, exoticizing and having exactly the issue that I'm thinking it's actually an issue to be the circus. That's why I felt like the relationship with my work is like, you can see the ancient knowledge in my work, but you can see the protagonists. They actually, when you put them you have to map my work together, right? So this is not a circus. This is a reminder of time and space melting into a oneness. And this is a different for me to just being a stylish photographer and doing a kind of an ellipse of style, telling you, hey, I put some like white on my face and I look cute and I can sell work. I tend to feel and look like this if you see my work separately or one picture at a time, so that you don't pay attention. But the building of my narration and the blueprint that I build is opening a new door for a new mythology that I'm actually talking to you right now. New mythology is concerning a relationship with vision. So I am using ancient knowledge to make me aware of the issue of today, present moment. We have no understanding of vision. And that's why for me, it's not exotic. It's not you know, like every single image talk to each other. Or for example, when I do my collage, you can see it's not based on exoticism, because I want actually people to pass on that. Like no matter what my face I will be on the picture, you will see right away you objectify me or exotizes me, but that's your problem. That's not my problem. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Who do you think the audience for your work is? Do you consider
everyone?
It to be
Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone. I mean, especially like women of color, they come to me and they really related to the transformation and I'm putting in my work, because they see that I'm not objectifying myself, but it's recent for them. So I want them to know about the difference. But my work is for everyone who actually objectify women in general and don't even know that they're doing it.
Okay.
So I have a role of like shifting your perception. That's pretty much what my work does.
Sure. How do you think the people who have left their native lands perceive your work differently than people who still live in it?
So I connect, for example, for the Power Tribe, I didn't go once. I did many posts through many years. So my picture is on my website, where I call that America, because that's my America. I did documented powers in New Jersey, in Connecticut, in Montana. It was the biggest one, in Roosevelt Island. You know, so I now know them. I have a relationship with them, right? Again, each time I'm going somewhere, I make sure that there is an intention of knowing my subject. And with the, of course, I can't go into that Native American space and pretending to be knowing what their sufferings come from. But my experience of having them teaching me is actually important in the process of transformation of vision in my work, even if I'm Black. Because what you see with a linear brain, and you think, oh, she has to be related to Black because she's Black. Okay. No, I just curve when I came in America, and I'm like, why nobody's talking about Native American? I want to know about them. So it's important in my work that I'm actually coming from an unknown space. And then I can talk about my story, because my story is including my arrival to America and what was my relationship with America, white American, Native American, and the multicultural world in New York with Rami, Sultan, and so many incredible conscious people that I actually met in New York, you know.
Hello, hi. I am calling from South Africa. So I've just like started following your work, and
thank you.
Wow, it is like so amazing. I love how you are so connected and you are able to use like your feminine energy, which allows you to be able to connect to other female, like any women across the world. Like, I mean, I'm in South Africa, but I was able to be connected with your work and how you tell your stories. So like my question is like, how was it when you started out, when you realized that you have this calling, and your calling was entailed like
that was like this. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
You are able to see forth for other women before we realize that, oh, this is how this is how life should be, like, if I may put it in a way. Like, what advice would you give to young women which are just like starting out and who are listening to the calling that they have?
So the calling, Rami, we don't talk about the calling. So I love the fact that it's sisters in South Africa just feel me, you know. So yeah, the outside of the arts and the mission of the arts, there is another thing that we didn't talk. It's the feminine. So the rise of the feminine, which I'm sure a lot of you guys you know about, is actually taking over this masculine energy because it's been completely unbalanced. So I wake up when I start my work because I met Peter Beer, which is a white male photographer, very famous, photographing Black women in Africa, brought me to a safari most expensive camp in Botswana, surrounded with my Black sister and Black brother, and serving me food around white people. That was a lot for me as a French Senegalese. And something happened where I saw the shift where my reality I realized that I didn't know who I was. And this situation makes me very uncomfortable. The abundance of life and nature was in front of me. And I saw that was only owned by white people. And that asked me a lot of questions because he was a photographer and he was objectifying women, but for him, he was not objectifying women. So I start my journey to actually argue with a very famous white male photographer about it. And I refused to be photographed naked, even if it would make me famous or whatever he believed he will have to take from my African or my black body again. So I got someone who wants to take from me. And my reaction was, I think that's going to be the last time that someone's going to take from me. It's over. I'm taking over my life right now. And I'm moving to New York. I'm not going to have a boss. No man's going to control me, give me authority. I work in a restaurant. I got very cool shifts. Nobody was actually controlling me. I got my money, tips every day. I came back, even with my master's degree, I didn't want to go back to the production, to the office job because I was controlled behind the screen by a boss. So the fact that I was circulating that energy of the feminine within me, with the customers, with New York, which is actually a very feminine energy as well, New York, because it's very organic, right? So it allowed my entire work to be born because here in New York, we have a Black community who actually wants to participate. So all the pictures that you saw through the years, it's my friends, Black, friends who were around me and helping me to create the work, right? And that's how everything was born. It was born from really a deep love of change, but with the woman around me. So I think I'm transforming and I'm doing a different artist because I actually experience the love of other women around me and I believe in their skill. You see, that's why we work together. Stylist, jewelry designer, craft maker, waver. I know all of them in New York, and then we did that together, all of us. So that's why hopefully you see that in my work, and I'm really happy because that's actually the mission of my work, or the purpose of my work is to see that it's not just about my work. I'm just the eye who expressing the talents of many,
Wow, that is so beautiful. I'm so thankful for your work, and you are inspiring like a lot of Black women. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for my call.
Yeah.
Delphine, I think we have loads of questions, but
that's a lot, right? Oh, I got homework.
I'm wondering if maybe you could tell us about your upcoming project, and I think that might relate a little bit to one of the questions in the chat.
Yeah, so my upcoming projects come from an access to a collector, a white collector collecting African artifacts. And he allowed me to use very expensive, pieces for my work. I think probably because he felt like guilty, you know what I mean? And I kind of like it. I was like, well, I think it's a message. So I'm going to share you one of exclusive pictures. Then I photographed with an amazing friend of mine, Eritrean. Again, it's a work with love and someone, and I really love, who intentionally asked me to photograph her. So we did this picture together with a Yoruba crown from Nigeria. This is the new work, and this is the vision, again, simple of the queen, the goddess, whatever you call it. For some people it looks like exotic, and for me it looks very timeless, so like the question about exoticism is like, it's because the woman is Black, it's exotic, but the structure of my work is really inspired by painting. So the painting itself, as like a flat structure, I like my work is more like a drawing than any kind of other stuff. So I'm using ancient knowledge or ancient form to only bring the beauty within the persona that I'm using, or I'm actually, I don't like to say the word using, that I'm actually embodied in the work, and I help her to transform, because she needed a lot of healing from me. So hopefully, you know, through the years, she's a young artist, she's 24. She just arrived in New York and looking for herself. So hopefully now, because of that picture, she will be able to know that she's worth it. And my work, it's really on that Black woman as like, you are worth it. Just stop to not believe in yourself. I know there is no one who's going to support you, because I experienced that. It's over. You need to self-worth, like you need to create yourself, the self-worth. And yeah, so that's the last work right now.
Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed this.
Thank you
I
very
love
much.
it. I love it. Like, I want to answer everybody's question now, and then we have to leave, you know. So I wish it would be nice, but hopefully, hopefully I give you more understanding about the work and how it's going to evolve through the years, because I want to really publish books. I'm looking for more publication to really do. We need now people who are publishing visual arts of this kind of matter, because there is none. So I felt like more than exhibition, I want to publish the work big time. You know, having a Taschen deal, or even like a big company who's like actually able to produce a book of 11 years of work, for me, that would be fantastic, you know.
Delphine, where can we buy your artwork?
So you can, like on my Instagram, you have the contact of my agent.
Right.
And, or if you know me, you go directly through me, you know.
So we can go through your website, right?
Yeah, you can go through my website, yeah. And then I can send price list, any question, everything. I can really, I do also commission work, especially with collage.
Right.
For family, actually. So that's why life is pretty surprising. It's, you are changing actually when you never expected to leave them, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm here. So what does that mean? It means I can actually do anything.
That's great. We love you very much, Delphine, and we'd love to have you again and again.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening.